as you are traveling here or anywhere on your travels, as certainly you're around the world a lot, I wonder if you've ever seen any of these travelers. So I see these travelers all the time, and it's really very sad. So you see the multitasking woman who's driving, and she's eating a bagel, and she's talking on her phone, holding her coffee, trying to get somewhere quickly. You see a very depressed-looking gentleman here who is clearly very sedentary. You just see people eating terrible things. What really started me thinking about this was several years ago, seeing someone sitting next to me at a gate who had an extended belly, he had a Cinnabon, he was balancing on it, he was drinking a Coke, and it was 7 o'clock in the morning. And I started to think, how many times a year does he do this? Is he traveling 100, 150, 200 days a year? And how often is he putting his body through this? Basically because he is unable to find healthier things to eat and many other types of things. How much exercise is he getting? Is he getting a good night's sleep? And certainly from the way that this gentleman looks, I imagine that the answer is certainly no. This vision is becoming so frequent that a Princeton professor put an article out in March of this year suggesting that the growing number of oversized passengers should pay higher prices for airline seats. So if your bag weighs more than 50 pounds, you're charged a fee. So what if your person weighs more than that tips the scales? So kind of interesting things. So typically when I follow Jan speaking, I present a lot of quantitative data. So this is a bit different for me. As I began thinking several months ago about what to present and what are the really key things that we should be talking about here, I was aware of a confluence of trends and perspectives. First, we know, and we've been talking about, spas have extended beyond just the four walls of the actual spa, and we're talking about wellness, such that we've added and wellness to the Global Spa and Wellness Summit. Next, this year's theme of innovation through imagination, looking ahead to the needs of the future, also got me thinking. Additionally, I do recognize we have an international audience here, looking at international trends. PKF, the research that we do on hotel spas, is US-based, so I am presenting a lot of US-based data. I just want to share that I do recognize that there's an international viewpoint here, but I think that this is still relevant and important to consider. And I also held tight to the idea of hotels, the focus of hotels and where hotels meet spa and wellness, since that's an area that we report on at PKF Consulting through our hotel spa trends. And lastly, I also thought about the wise words of a mentor of mine, who is our vice chair here at the Global Spa and Wellness Summit, Philippe Bourguignon, who said, "Keep the vision intact, and the economic model is a subset." So it was here at this intersection that I saw the opportunity that lies before us. We hear plenty of information about the state of our nation's health. Leading causes of death in the US include heart disease, cancer, stroke, and diabetes. We've talked about it a great deal over the past few days. Dr. Carmona spoke about it as well. And in the last 3 years, our nation has reached its highest obesity level after dramatic increases over the last 20 years. We certainly know that genes play a part in these statistics, but research has shown, and has been shared here at the summit, that lifestyle, including nutrition, activity, hydration, and stress levels, play a key role in determining whether each of us will just become another statistic. And further, age plays a factor in increasing the likelihood of these diseases and conditions the older that we get. In other words, continuing an unhealthy lifestyle as you age is like a momentum-building train that ultimately plummets off the end of a cliff. And there are nearly 80 million baby boomers, the first of which turns 67 this year. So millions of Americans are living with chronic diseases that prevent them from living active lifestyles, and the indicators are that this will continue to increase. And with more hotel rooms sold in the US in 2011 than at any previous year, we are traveling more than we ever have before. So back to the comment of coming here and the stress that travel takes on us, has on us, stress has become interwoven with travel these days, from the stress of flying, airport security, to the fast-paced business that we're doing when we travel, to the vacations that the stressed individuals take in order to relieve them of it. It's no wonder that we're the unhealthiest that we've ever been. From the hotelier's perspective, a significant number of resources are dedicated to creating competitive advantages between properties to ensure that a guest chooses your hotel over the competitors? Well, frankly speaking, it will no longer matter whether a guest chooses your hotel or your competitors if they're dead. Or if they're suffering from chronic disease, I'm sorry to be so blunt, suffering from chronic disease that prevents them from having an active lifestyle that includes travel. Hotel performance, hotel asset value, all the things that we measure in the hotel industry is based on an assumption of continued demand. And for this, we need a population that is able to travel. So there is a silver lining. So we as a population are growing ever more aware of the dire straits that we're in, and we're beginning to make small strides in a better direction. And here's an example. So at PKF, we've actually looked at the relationship between oil prices and travel, where people are giving up spending in order to spend more money on gas. And so here's an example where if you look in the pink bar here about halfway down, you see that this is the oil spike that began in early 2002 and went through mid-2005. And you'll see at the very top that obviously more money was spent in people's budgets on gas. And the trade-off was all of these other areas that they stopped spending. And you'll see that in this particular time frame of the oil price spike, health and personal was a trade-off. And spa and wellness fits into this category. So people began spending less on themselves, taking care of themselves, because they needed to put gas in their cars. However, looking at the reaction 5 years later, at the subsequent oil price spike starting in early 2007, consumers actually increased their spending in health and personal. So we now see that this bar has gone up, and they traded off other things, such as not buying a new automobile quite as quickly. So this is an important psychological shift in the priority that's placed on taking care of one's health. We also see this trend in the growing popularity and success of stores like Whole Foods and others, in the creation of intense fitness programs like the Tough Mudder that's shown here on the right. In 2011, 40,000 people went through the Tough Mudder course, and in 2012, they're projecting 400,000 people going through it, so a tenfold increase. And it's not just individuals who are beginning to pay more attention to their own health. Even the US military, a picture shown in the bottom left, through work with the First Lady, is adopting nutritional guidelines and menu standards at their facilities and their bases through a program called the Food Transformation Initiative. In addition, they're creating fitness programs to fight obesity in military families. So how are these positive trends extending to the hospitality industry? So first, I have to share a few numbers. And I'm sure you're interested in seeing them. Looking at hotel spas specifically, after several years of decreasing revenues, hotel spas saw increases in revenues in 2011 and have anecdotally shared in conversations I've had that they're not only beating budget this year, but they're actually reporting the best months their spas have ever had when comparing the early months of this year to previous years that same month. This is good news. Through our research, we've plotted the change in hotel spa demand along the trend of Maslow's hierarchy, where spa demand is more severely impacted in an economic downturn than a hotel's revenue per available room, and where recovery happens first in hotel demand. It's shelter. Then in food and beverage spend, sustenance, then in room rate growth, and then in hotel spas, which would be categorized in the self-actualization band of the hierarchy. And that's when hotel spas begin to show recovery, is at that point in time. There is more data available if you look on your USB sticks. I have shared the 2011 Hotel Spa Trends Report from PKF Consulting with all the delegates, as well as a handful of slides showing up-to-date information on hotel spa performance. So if you're excited for data, when Jan got us all excited about it this morning, there is more that you can go see as well. And with strong growth in profits forecast, hotel profits forecast for the next few years, we also anticipate strong growth in hotel spa revenues and profitability. But we do know that spa is only one aspect of multifaceted wellness. in hotels, spas are found in 62% of luxury properties and 12% of upper upscale properties, according to Smith Travel Research. Fewer than 1% of properties in the lower categories have spas, which is certainly understandable from a demand and a positioning standpoint. But that doesn't mean that these other hotels and guests staying at hotels without spas shouldn't have wellness as part of their consideration. So what is the hospitality doing to care for the wellness of our hotel guests? Based on the statistics that I presented earlier, we can comfortably assume that our hotel guests fall along this continuum. On the very left, they need to embrace a healthier lifestyle to avoid chronic disease. Whether they're actively doing anything about it or not, they're in dire straits. Somewhere toward the center, they're open to positive change. And as we know, when people are traveling, they tend to do things they wouldn't necessarily do at home. They're out of their routine and they may be more open to trying something new. Or they're living healthy lives and expect to be supported in doing so when they're traveling. So at any point along this continuum, the need for the hospitality industry to take an active role in supporting the overall health and well-being of our hotel guests, it's very important. And isn't it truly the ultimate in hospitality to take care of the well-being of our guests? To that end, we interviewed executives at 5 top hotel companies, 3 of which represent multiple brands, to understand where wellness falls in their company's priority hierarchy. And here I'm going to share what 3 particularly innovative companies are doing with a focus on their guest and employee wellness. So first, Mandarin Oriental is a leader in the hospitality spa and wellness initiative, and it's communicated at the highest level of their brand communication. Evidence of this photo on the right is what you see when you go to their website for the very first time, a calming water image, relieving stress, bringing balance. Guest wellness is a top priority of their brand. They provide tranquil environments, 5-star spas described as an oasis of calm. They have urban hotels that are extensions of their 4 wellness retreat hubs, supporting a spa and wellness program based on Chinese medicine. And they have a naturopathic nutritionist who oversees guest menus and employee meals, with a focus on healthy options and not spa cuisine. So there truly is something for everyone. Andrew was kind enough to share with me, Mandarin did an analysis in 2011 of their guest base at one of their international urban hotels and shared a few statistics. I'm going to share them in US dollars so we don't identify which property it was. But they found that a non-spa goer stays 2.7 days and spends $2,200 during their stay, where a spa goer stays 3.7 days, so a full day longer, and spends $5,500, or 2.5 times what the non-spa goer spends. The difference is between $4 and $5 million in a single property. And though these figures are specific to a specific urban property, a cross-analysis of other properties produces similar percentages increases in spend and length of stay, regardless of the urban destination. So thank you, Andrew, for that information. I just wanted to give you a little international perspective as well. So the next I'll share is Westin, and I will share Jeremy. I called this the Happiness Hotel. Those are my words. This is not a new brand positioning. So Westin has launched an innovative wellness concept in the hotel industry based on the fundamentals of positive psychology. And the core of this, I do not explain it anywhere near as well as Jeremy does, but if we create a positive experience for our guests that ends on a peak note, we will have positively impacted their happiness and increased their likelihood to return. By increasing their happiness, their stress level is reduced. The less stress focus is carried through Westin's website and core brand presentations, where I found these rotating images on the right-hand side on their About Westin page. So there are many ways that they do this, both in and outside of the spa itself. So the spa itself, the Heavenly Spa, and extensions such as the Superfoods RX menu that they've created. With service based on the fundamentals of positive psychologies, they're leaving their guests feeling better than when they arrived. So applying positive psychology, one could draw the conclusion that over time and with repetition, a positive impact can be made on guest propensity for stress and lifestyle-related illness and disease. And the third I'll share is, I'll call it the new team player, because this is a proposed hotel. The Intercontinental Hotel Group defined 17 million Americans who desire to stay healthy on the road, but report that they fall off the wagon when they do. So they asked themselves, what's one of the biggest consumer trends out there? And this, in fact, was it. So they have created an upscale brand. It would compete with the Courtyard and the Hilton Garden Inns in the world, that is focused. It actually doesn't have a spa, but it's focused on healthy food, more convenient fitness options, a better night's sleep, and increased productivity. And by extending this into the upscale market that's not in the luxury set, we're extending wellness to more people. And these will launch in 2013. So I'm going to quickly go through the brand survey results that we found. As a priority, these are for the 5 hotel companies, multiple brands that we looked at. Wellness ranked between 6 and 10. Standard offerings of fitness room and spas are still more prevalent than innovative wellness options, whether it's healthy cuisine or intentionally calming environments and the like. Newer brands are more readily embracing wellness as a core part of their mission, and wellness-related leadership exists at the highest levels. The majority of hotel company respondents offered structured wellness initiatives for their employees. They all agree that wellness is increasing or significantly increasing a priority overall, both broadly and globally, as well as for their hotel companies specifically over the next 5 to 10 years. They also reported focusing more on marketing wellness at the brand level through advertising and communication through staff at their property, whereas promotion on their website was less important and less of a priority. And this is actually what we found. We did just a little study, went to 19 different brands' websites to find out how easy it was to find their spa and wellness philosophies and facilities and offerings. And we found it was roughly a third to whether or not it was easy, moderately, easy or difficult to find, or really just difficult or unable to find. So, there's a cost to all of this. Chronic disease is the single biggest driver of healthcare costs. I won't go through all the statistics on this. We've heard them in the past few days, but it is absolutely and utterly staggering. SpaFinder added to their 2012 Trends Report a section on employee wellness programs and spas. And as healthcare costs increase, companies will shift focus to prevention in order to reduce costs. Spas and hotels are uniquely positioned to provide support in this effort. From the hotel industry perspective, we must take the initiative to offer wellness-oriented facilities, amenities, services to our guests, as we will reach a tipping point when company wellness programs and employee incentives will demand this of us. Though making wellness a priority for guests and employees all comes down to a matter of dollars, it is the right thing to do. Remember, keep vision intact, the economic model will follow. So, here are a few ideas to consider. How can the spa and wellness industry and hotels work together to improve the well-being of our guests? Here are just a few examples that I put together, but there are so many more, and this merely scratches the surface. We can embrace corporate responsibility to not only do well, but to do good. We can offer healthy, green operations in our facilities. We can offer calming, rejuvenating, stress-reducing environments. We can add healthy menu options to our restaurants, our cafes, and our sundry shops. We can create creative fitness and activity solutions. An example from Even Hotels is they are putting in a bar in the closet that will double as a chin-up bar, so you can do exercises in your room. We can establish strategic partnerships for wellness-related guest offerings. This avoids having to build new spaces in hotels and allows you to use your local environment and providers and community in order to provide these services to your guests. And truly, we can care about the well-being of our hotel guests and communicate it through our facilities, our amenities, services, products, and delivery of the ultimate hospitality. But ultimately, these efforts will only be as successful as the support they are given from our industry leaders, each of you here today. So today, I leave you to ponder these questions. With our innovation, imagination, passion, and perseverance, could this be the vision of our nation's future travelers? In what groundbreaking ways can the spa and wellness industry and the hotel industry, each of us and all of us together, work together to support this vision? Can we imagine this world? Thank you.